Hello everyone, Caroline here. In today's video I want to share two card ideas with the StudioLight Paper Pad that I recently purchased. So my idea here is to create two Shadow Box cards, and I am using those two sheets of die cuts that I fussy cut out, and then I also use the sentiments, 2 sentiments from those vellum sheets, and then two papers, and I will show them in a moment. That's the one with the snowflakes and the other one is the one with the stars. Now before I start my video, I want to show those two paper dummies that I created, and I got the measurements from another video, and that's the Didedi's Crafty's Corner channel, and I will link the video down below in my description box. Now these cards are fitting when folded together into an A2 standard size envelope, and I demonstrate this here quickly. So when this is glued on that little corner there, on that little edge, and you fold it together, it fits perfectly into an A2 size envelope. There. Now the two cards are different in the front. The measurements are a little different. One is a little bit more square and the other one is more portrait size. And so let's get started with card number one. So for this card I decided to go with the more portrait size shape. So I started out and I cut, oh yeah, here's another piece that I'll quickly show. That's the inlay piece, and the piece I'm going to use two pieces for my inlay of my shadow box, and measured that out as well. Now I have this cutter that also has a scoring tool, and I'm starting out with a regular letter size white cardstock, and I'm using a pretty heavy cardstock for this one so the box holds up nicely. And I just cut it in half vertically, so this will give me my two card bases for my shadow box. Now here you can see my scoring marks on the bottom. So I have 4 scoring marks, and I made this free screen here so you can maybe make a screenshot of the measurements if you want. And then I'm using my cutting tool here, my cutting board, and I'm scoring my piece here. And if you have a score board, you can just use the measurements that are on the bottom. But for me, it was just quicker to use my board here, my cutting board. Now I'm using my tool here and burnish the edges, fold this over, and here is my finished card base for my box. Now I have my glue edge, or my edge, on the left side back, so that will give me the front here on the second panel from the left. And here I'm choosing just a die that will fit properly onto this front. And I cut already a frame out with this die, and now I'm making sure I'm center this on this panel, and then I cut it out. And then I can just use that frame that I cut out before and just glue this onto the cutout. So this will be my front. So now I let that set to dry, and then I'm cutting out my background piece and then the two side pieces, and as well my inlay pieces. And I'm using just a little edge die, and this particular one is from Action. from the Action store that I got gifted. So I'm just doing 2 pieces, and I make one shorter than the other so they can stick behind each other inside my box. And then I'm making sure I'm scoring this a 1/4 inch on each side so I have an edge to glue this into my box. Then I'm scoring this and burnished the score line, and this will give me my insides. Now I'm using distress ink in tumbled glass, and I'm just distressing the edge of the background piece and the 2 side pieces. And then I decided, since these are snowflakes and it's very wintry looking, I'm adding some glitter. And in order to do this, I'm just randomly drop some glue on my background, little dots, and also on the edge of those inlay pieces. And then I'm using my diamond dust, and I will just put this on top. And where the glue is, my glitter will stick, and it will give me little sparkly dots. And I do the same with the side pieces. And also with the edge of those inlay pieces, so it looks like a hill with snow on top, glittery snow on top. Then I'm picking out my die cut pieces here, and I decided to make the snowman my focal point, and then have the other pieces for my front and for the background. And I use also my sentiment here. That's the one that says let it snow. Let it snow, yeah, let it snow. Okay, so for my sentiment, I'm using those Sizzix adhesive sheets, which I really like to do with my vellum always. I am just glue this on, and then I cut it out, and then I have literally a sticker, a transparent sticker that I can stick on anything, on any cardstock that I want. So now I'm assembling my box. I'm using my background piece here, and I glue this on, and for some reason I cut this piece wrong, but it's not a big deal. I can just cut off the excess there. And I also cut those 2 edges for easier gluing, and I'm just using my liquid glue and then glue on the edge to my other piece here, making sure that is nicely adhered, and I'm wibbling the box back and forth to make sure it folds correctly. Now I'm putting in my inlay pieces here, and I'm just using liquid glue as well, and then just attach them to the side of my box. And I'm doing that with the same with the other piece. And then when you look at it, you have like 2 hills on top of each other. Now I have this little cutout that looks like a sign, and I want to make this kind of my piece that holds my sentiment. And then I have my snowman here, and I'm just figuring now out how I place all my pieces. So I'm adhering my snowman with a foam tape. This will give it another dimension. It will not be directly on my inlay piece here, but it will stick up a little bit. It gives it even more dimension. And then my house, I put this all the way in the background so it looks like it's far away. And again, I adhere this with foam tape so it sticks a little bit up. It's not flat on the background. There. So now my next piece here will be my the banner first. So I'm cutting this to size and then adhere this to the front. And I like that this banner gives the has a little contrast color, so it's not all so white, but has a little bit a spark of color, if you will. I make this sure it's gonna go exactly edge to edge. And then I decided first I'm gonna glue on my sides now here. And it looks really nice with the little sparkle on my snowflakes. There. So when this is nicely adhered, I'm go ahead and I working on my sentiment here. So I gonna cut out my words and I'm removing the tape from the backing from the adhesive, and I'm just placing it onto my wooden sign. And I thought the sign is a little bit too big, so I'm just cutting it to size. And I still thought it's a little much with those hanging over icicles there, so I remove them as well, and then I glue this on the top. And then it's okay if you have elements sticking out to the left side, because when you fold it you still have the size of the side panel to cover this when you put it into your card, into your envelope. Now I'm just using those little bits and pieces and decorate the front. I'm using this little twig here and the little berries, and then also the snowflakes I put on the front. And then I have this little the mittens and the hat, and I glued this kind of together in a set. And I'm placing this also to the front corner there. Now making sure I don't let it stick out on the right side, because that's the edge when it's folding. And then I also have this little teeny tiny sleigh that I'm gonna place next to the house in the background there. And here is the finished box. Okay, here is the shadow box number 2. Now for this one, I now take the other one, the little bit more squarish front. And again, I cut out my other pieces and I scored my main piece. Here you can see I scored that exactly like my dummy piece here on 4 score lines to make my box. And then here's my cutout pieces. I have my background and I have 2 of my side pieces, and also I cut out 2 of my inlay pieces. And for the inlay pieces you don't really need a die, you can just cut out a curvy line with your scissors. Now again, I'm folding my box here at the score line and burnish the edge, and then do the same with my glue, with the edge that has the glue, will have the glue. And here's my box. Now, this time around I want to show you how you can work with a die that you can cut into the cardstock. So in this case I'm using this die from Creative Creations, and I just cut this out, and you will see how I have this beautiful pattern in my front and then have the cutout there in the middle. And it's just a way to make this a very unique card. So here I'm using my tea dye distress ink, and instead of blue I'm using my brownish color to distress the edges. So this gives it a little warmer tone, this card. And now I'm scoring my inlay pieces again at 1/4 inch on each side. And I'm folding this over, and now assembling my box here. Again, I'm putting in my background piece first. And then I'm gluing my box together. And on this box I forgot to make the little nips into the edge, but that's fine. It works perfectly like that as well. And there you go. And then I'm attaching my sides. And here now I'm starting to decorate my box with the pieces, and I have this little bells, and I'm decided to put it into my background there. I didn't like it on the front, so I'm just gluing this in the back. There, and then I'm inserting or gluing in my inlay pieces. And it's always a good idea to curve those, or hold them in, like, curve them and then put them in. That makes it easier to adhere them. Like, see how I curve it, bend it like a little bit so it's more round when you put it in, not straight. That makes it for an easy adherement. There you go. Yep. Okay, so I'm making sure that's adhered. And it's always a good idea just to let it sit for a minute so the glue can really harden first before you move on. Now I'm doing the same with my sentiment as I did with the other one. I adhered it to a adhesive sheet and then cut it out. And for this card, I want to make this tree my focal point. And it's a little big, but it fits. And then in the back I want to have this hot chocolate wagon, and I adhered in the back. And for my front I decided to use the little gifts and the little mug with the cocoa. And then I decided to now here you can see I moved my tree to the second level. I thought it was just too far in the front, so I just moved it one level back. Now for my sentiment, I glued my words onto craft paper and then cut them up and adhere them to the front. Now I'm using my glossy accent, and I just put a little bit of glossy accent onto the candles on my tree and onto that cocoa on the chocolate. And here's my finished card. So here again are my 2 cards. You can see them again. And I think they turned out super cute. And I think it's just a little thing, a little, different way to use your paper pad. I hope you enjoyed this video and, maybe you give it a try. You can do that with anything you have in your stash. Now here I'm showing you quickly how you can fold it. There you go. I mean, you have to do it carefully, but it will hold up. And then you can put it into your envelope. And I would probably make my own envelope for this, but you can certainly put this into a regular envelope. Here you go. So that are my cards for today, and I hope you still have a beautiful week, and I see you in my next video. Until then, bye.